Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Ralph for jumping in at the last moment. The Power of Myth was a 6-hour documentary on PBS about Joseph Campbell, interviewed by Bill Moyers in 1988. If you've watched it, you may remember that in those 6 hours, Joseph Campbell made one point on what it means to live an authentic life. His 3 words were, follow your bliss. What does that mean? The dictionary says bliss is extreme happiness. Is that what we want? To go bouncing around, bubbling and shouting, and our feet not touching the ground, loving everything? I don't think so. However, in the program, Bill Moyers, as confused as I, asked Campbell, what do you mean by that? His answer is important. Do what you want to do that makes you feel most alive. To me, that's the answer. Life is my gift. Living is what I do with it. Some of you know that when I was a junior in high school, I decided I was going to be a high school math and science teacher, that I graduated early, did not do well in college, ended up going to the Air Force, marrying my high school sweetheart, being trained in electronics, etc., and had what I consider to be a very successful life for the next nearly 70 years. But I was never a high school math and science teacher. What does that have to do with living as a newspaper editor? This. In my junior year, I found out I could graduate at the end of 3 years, but the state of Missouri required another 1/4 of an hour of physical education, which I did not have, so I had to return for my senior year. And in my problem-solving approach, I found that I could take a semester of health to satisfy that requirement, and then the other classes that I took included journalism taught by Mrs. Opal Eckert, a world-class journalism teacher. Our high school newspaper was really a big deal. It was printed on page 2 of the Saturday edition of the Maryville Daily Forum. And the class assembled at the Forum, which ran a hot lead letterpress, and we put the whole page together ourselves. The only thing we didn't do was run the linotypes and the press, but we did everything else, even locked the case. I learned a lot about what a newspaper is about, but I didn't learn what it meant to be a newspaper editor. That I learned, and I may have this wrong, but whether I do or whether I don't, what I've learned is very important. I found a movie in the 50s, Teacher's Pet. It's got Clark Gable, Doris Day, Gid Gunn, Mamie Van Doren, and some others. The story is about a newspaper editor, city editor, Clark Gable, and the protagonist, Doris Day, who is a lecturer at a local college on journalism, who is trying to teach journalism, and Clark Gable thinks you can't do that. The only way you can become a newspaper reporter is by experience. Experience is the teacher. Experience is the only way. I won't go through the whole thing. I don't have that much time. But Doris Day is the daughter of a renowned newspaper man, a Pulitzer Prize winner, for a column he wrote years ago. And Clark Gable has an on and off again relationship with her. And finally, at the critical moment, determines that her father's newspaper was junk. And in a scene where he tells her that, she gets all excited. And this is the telling moment. He looks at her and he says, I didn't mean to hurt you again. But if you take an honest blue pencil to that paper, you'll find out that it's just a bunch of guys sitting around a Cracker Barrel talking. And that's not what a newspaper is about. We're in a tough business and we've got to inform the public. I won't go any more of the do any more of the movie. You can see that on your own if you want. The point is this. Mrs. Eckert used a blue pencil to mark up what we wrote. A newspaper editor is deluged with things reporters want him to print. Some he accepts, some he rejects, and some he blue pencils. To me, that's what following your bliss is about. Taking this avalanche of things we want to do and blue penciling out, which means altering those that we want to do but can't do as fully as we would like. Is this new? No, it's just a different way of looking at success. Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss. Do what makes you feel most alive. Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. I'll close with this. When life deals you lemons, make something else. After this speech and when this meeting ends, I'll be headed to Starbucks for a cup of coffee and a piece of lemon cake.